I think most of the ways that we suffer now, like people like, you and I and Arjun and many of the people in our lives that are fortunate enough to have stability and have a lot of the basic needs met. A lot of the ways we suffer is just by putting our hopes on outer world goals without really asking like why we want those things. We just focus on the how. So it's like, I want this thing in the outer world. I want this title, or I want this possession, or I want this recognition from someone. How do I get it? How do I get it? How do I get it? Not like, why do I want it? And if you start pulling at the why thread, you might get some interesting answers, and you might even find out that you don't need it, So I think it's important to ask not just how do I get what I want, but why do I want what I want,
100%. And that's the thing too, is what I've seen in sales time and time again. And it's why it's so, for me, glaring in sales, is that salespeople are, for the most part, in control of how much they earn. Once you hit a certain point and you're in a closing role, you're pretty much, you have a good amount of control of how much you earn, depending on how your commission structure is set up. But what I hear all the time is they have a number. They have a certain amount of money they want to make. Let's say it's for round numbers, $500,000, right? They want to make $500,000. And what I hear time and time again is a lot of top producers is either they hit that number and they feel empty for a reason I'll get into it a second, or they fall short of that number. And in both cases, they feel empty because, as you mentioned, they don't know why they want to earn $500,000. Why 500? Why not 450? They're picking at certain numbers that sound really good in their heads and feel like this will fill them up. But in reality, your wire on how much money you want to make is just a piece of the pie. It's just a piece of the why. And you're exactly right. Why a lot of people have trouble getting out of bed in the morning, in my experience, is what do you focus on when you're getting out of bed? Are you taking a look at your calendar, looking at all of the shit you need to do that day? Or are you focused on why you're doing what you're doing, the impact you're here to make? And for a lot of people, they're not even clear on what that why is. And so their whole world is just focusing on the what and the how, to your point, is just focusing on what they deem the grind. But the process and the grind is so much more fun. You enjoy the process so long as you are clear on that why and you're clear on those things. And at the same time, you're expressing your gifts, the things that bring you energy and make an impact on others as much as possible in that role. So I think both of those things are really important. And the why that you bring in, you're exactly right, Jay, is so important. The what and the how are definitely a part of the puzzle, but they're dead ends if you focus on just that. Just like if you just focus on a number.
Totally. Exactly. And that scorecard, like that number is always moving. I mean, when you were younger, $20 could have felt like $500,000 to you, right? So it's like you're always moving that score, that goalpost. So you're always just going to keep chasing that. And it's interesting because when you keep asking why, I also think that it helps uncover your fulfillment needs, and like you realize where there are gaps. And once you get your fulfillment needs down, then it's a lot easier to operate because you're like, all right, I'm going to approach this situation and I'm going to see, does it hit these 5 fulfillment needs? Oh, it doesn't? Then I'm not even going to deal with it. Even with like people, you can just deal with it in terms of relationships. So I think asking why can uncover some fulfillment needs, and you're going to always be moving that goalpost. And then as you mentioned, like if you actually have your why, more of your gifts are coming out as opposed to just your talent. Like, many people are talented at sales, but are they actually bringing their gift into every conversation? Are they bringing their gift out in like the interactions that they're having? So it's an interesting concept to think about.